The one habit I practiced for 50 years that killed my joy, until I stopped. Why do you look like you're winning but you never smile? I didn't have an answer. I just polished the silver spoon I was already holding. Polished it for the third time. The metal was blindingly sterile. She had hit the target, dead center. For 50 years I had perfected my life. My career trajectory was textbook. My portfolio was diversified. My health metrics were optimized. I was a monument to efficiency, but the joy, it was gone, replaced by a cold, persistent numbness. She was sitting across the table. Her plate was full, but her eyes weren't meeting mine. They floated just above my head, tracking the non-existent dust motes in the perfect air. The only loud sound in that room was the scraping of silverware on expensive porcelain. It wasn't the happy clatter of a family sharing a meal. It was the synchronized, mechanical sound of two people meticulously performing a required act. I tried to speak. "How's work, sweetie?" She answered, "Fine." One word. It had the weight and texture of granite. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy. It smelled like old varnish and unsaid things. It smelled like a relationship that had been professionally maintained but entirely gutted of life. I realized then I had optimized the system, but I had killed the connection. The habit that ruined me wasn't addiction. It wasn't procrastination. It was far more insidious because it looked like maturity. I was living for the theoretical A+, ignoring the immediate, messy, available B+. The B+ is where life happens. The A+ is a waiting room. The problem with terminal calibration is that the final 2% of polish requires 50% of the total time investment and yields 0% of the actual joy. We are trained to believe that discipline means finishing the task optimally. I learned that discipline means knowing when to stop, put the tools down and engage with the life you've built. Good enough. But then the terminal calibration kicked in. I'd spend the next 2 hours on the edger, not just trimming. I was surgically removing blades of grass that dared to violate the 90-degree interface between sod and concrete. I wasn't maintaining my yard to enjoy the scent of cut grass or watch my grandchild play. I was manicuring it to defeat the lawn, to prove to the world that entropy could not touch my property. When I finally stood back, exhausted and sweating, the lawn was perfect. But I was too tired to sit in the chair, too tired to enjoy the result. The time I bought back by optimizing my career, I instantly spent in exhausting, pointless, hyper-detailed gardening. The lawn was perfect. The man was depleted. Another example, home maintenance. The leaky faucet in the guest bath. Most people hear the drip, grab a wrench, and swap out the washer. 3 minutes, good enough, not me. The sound of that drip triggered my calibration protocol. I wouldn't fix it until I had researched the optimal alloy for a 1/4 turn valve. I needed to know the specific tensile strength of the PTFE tape. I spent 2 weeks reading maintenance forums populated by obsessive engineers. I delayed the simple fix until I had acquired the perfect ergonomic German wrench. The faucet dripped for 14 days while I pursued the flawless solution. 14 nights of wasted water and low-grade anxiety over a repair that would yield the exact same result, whether I used a premium alloy or the washer from the bottom of my junk drawer. I missed the B+, I missed the moment, I missed the joy of immediate competence. Terminal calibration is why you always feel behind. You're not trying to complete the task. You are trying to complete the ideal version of the task, and that version doesn't exist in reality. It only exists in your head as a perfect, unreachable standard. I stopped pouring energy into that final, toxic 2% of polish. I calculated the change. Across 5 primary areas, yard work, email response, minor repairs, detailed meal prep, and personal planning, I was wasting, on average, 14 hours and 23 minutes every single week. The cost of perfectionism isn't just mental strain. It's actual, quantifiable time. That's 746 hours a year, 31 extra days, unlocked. I didn't gain a new skill or a massive inheritance. I got 14 hours of my life back. Immediately. I replaced the edger with a cheap plastic chair, and I sat on the slightly imperfect lawn and watched the sunset. The grass was slightly uneven at the curb. The sunset was beautiful, and I smiled. You like the exhausting hustle that leads nowhere. But if you are still here, we are different. We know the system is rigged. The modern world demands this terminal calibration from you. It wants you chasing the impossible perfect goal, the perfect body, the perfect house, the perfect career path, so that you stay perpetually distracted and conveniently exhausted. You're easier to manage when you're tired. This is not simple self-improvement advice. This is sabotage. This is the active refusal to comply with the standard of perpetual overperformance. Shut down the law of terminal calibration. Stop finishing the race that never truly ends. You already have enough joy. You just need to stop burying it under layers of unnecessary polish. You just need to accept the B+. Now share this with the one person in your life who looks like they're winning, but never smiles. It's time for them to pick up the half-eaten apple and finally take a seat.